Hi, ladies and gentlemen of the almost fifth dimensional frequency. Within the four-dimensional frequency that we sit in, I sit on this couch, sitting in contentment. As I've waited oh so long to make it to this point where I can sit here and say to you that I'm ready. I'm ready to produce massive amounts of videos for you light workers to soak up, for you light workers to interject your energetic field into, and for you of the general public to come across and come into a realization of the seriousness that our reality field has been heading towards. And the seriousness that I speak of is not so serious after all, as within the light working scope of things, as within the spiritual realm of things. A lot of you have not opened up your reality field enough to come into a realization of how serious things are about to become within the next few months and years that will pass by like a flash of light, like a zoom of lightning, like a strike past 12, past midnight, when the clock ticks down and the minutes tick up into an ascension that we've been heading towards for far too long without the knowledge of the general public. And as I sit here today, as of November of 2025, it has been predicted by me, myself, and I that there will be a grand solar flash, the greatest and grandest solar flash that humanity has ever been able to sit through, to perceive via their human senses, through the spirituality realm, through all realms of energetic pockets, through fields of peonies and dandelions, through all of Gaia's ever so shifting, ever so coherent, and ever so illuminating fields of separated states of consciousness. For once and for final, all of consciousness will come into an interjected point throughout the time of the solar flash, of this impending incoming solar flash at the end of November 2025. And I did release a video earlier in the year, actually at the end of 2024, as we celebrated New Year's, as we celebrated Christmas, to declare to humanity that this year, next year, back then, that the year of 2025 will be the last year of normalcy within the coherency of our solar system, of the massive feats that Gaia, our beloved Earth, has ever gone through in times of coherency, in times of abundance, in times of forever arching light and love, in times of forever arching darkness within her heart and soul scope of all scopes. The day will come when Yeshua will bring down a light so bright by sending through the consciousness of our sun, the consciousness of the rays within the rays of our solar system that breathes life and death into the reincarnation cycles that never ever ends, into that solar system that is ours. And as this light strikes 12, as this light passes midnight, as this light interjects into our atmospheric fields, this light will awaken humanity like no other light has done so in the history of humanity, past, present, and future trajectories within our quantum realm, within our quantum verse, within our own very little playscape that consciousness has scoped out for us to play in within our solar system on the face of Gaia. Throughout the history of generations and upon generations of humanity's past, present, and future trajectories, you may not remember what I'm about to declare to you, you may not even coherently want to understand or want to perceive this as a true reality field of sorts, but come November, your third eye will blast wide open, and as will your neighbors, and as will every single consciousness walking the scope of our forever arching fourth dimensional frequency within the three-dimensional frequency realm that Gaia resides in. What is so exciting about this, ladies and gentlemen, is that I sit here and declare to you that Yeshua's energetic field that he anchored down into Earth's frequency a little over 2,000 years ago still resides within the core of Gaia, that this angelic light that still lives within the core of Gaia pulsates through Earth's frequency field upon layers and layers of trajectories, of overrunning and underrunning scopes, of landscapes, of mountainscapes, of airy descents within eagle's eye view, of undercurrents within the oceanscapes that you could ever envision to be true and imagine to be real. This light lives within you. This light lives within I. This light lives within all of consciousness. And this light will blast off into the essence of your heart's desires, your soul's being, your soul's knowing and belonging, to trigger in those memories of where you've been before this lifetime, prior to the physicality of the body that you sit in. You're an interdimensional soul, everlasting soul, that has never died, that has never fled into different quantum verses so fast, that has forever archingly sat within our quantum verse, experiencing the reality field that we've built for ourselves within this reality scope of our quantum verse. The descent of such negative energetic field into Gaia's core had always been an experience of sorts that humanity has sorted out to become an effervescent love, an everlasting light, a forever arching darkness within our soul's knowing and belonging, within our heart's scope and scape of all that we've ever been. This light that lives within each and every one of us also lives within Gaia, without Gaia, within our solar system, within the angelic realm, within all of humanity, past, present, within past, present, and future trajectories. This light is set to shine so bright, and bright it will shine as the solar flash that is impending will project the maximum capacity of this light held within and without the sun's auric field, as the sun, ladies and gentlemen, is also a being. And as the Illuminati begins to scope out its story scope, to start to cover up the truth, what will be uncovered within this solar flash scope and scape within our quantum realm, within Gaia's field and within the field that you sit in, is the everlasting deception that we've been sitting in as a humanity for all of this time, that we've been here in our physicality throughout lifetimes upon lifetimes of reincarnation cycles, that seemingly never ever tends to end, as we've designed this reality scape, as we've designed this reality scope to carry us through these stories of loneliness, through these stories of love, through these stories of soul searching, through these stories of you and I sitting right here on this couch, of you on the other side of that phone, of the TV, of the electronic media of choice, of your car, of your home, of the comfort scape, the comfort scope of your bed, sitting, listening so intently to my story that I tell about Gaia and of the sun, of our great central sun within our solar system, that is about to explode, that is about to implode its internal being, its internal light of pieces and scopes of its consciousness onto our consciousness. It will share its light that has broadcasted life into our frequency for far too long without the remembrance of our soul's inheritance, into these energetic lines that run perpendicular to our Earth's core, that run in smooth trajectories of linear projections, that has carried energetic frequency throughout, through in, through where, through it, through Gaia, for all of this time, unknowingly by you, unknowingly by I, unknowingly by all of society throughout generations and generations. But within this generation, within this lifetime, you and I will know for once and for final what the point of this game has been all about. As the sun broadcasts its being, its consciousness onto Gaia, so will you begin to awaken to the grandest ascension journey that your soul has ever been able to scheme up, that your being has ever been able to live through, that your oversoul is so excited to project its light, its love, its lessons learned through never-ending reincarnation cycles that never ever ends, that holds you so still in this moment in time within your own auric field of unremembrance, to open up this auric field into all that there has ever been, into all that there is pleasurable, to say the least, to that oversoul of yours who has been encompassing all that you've ever been, in a place, in a scope, in a manner that you shall never, ever be able to remember as you sit on that couch of yours, as you absorb the frequency that I project. But within the next moment in time, ladies and gentlemen, as the sun shines its radiance through in and throughout our reality fields, as she pumps her being into the effervescent ley lines of Gaia's surface within Gaia's frequency, this everlasting frequency shall be noticed, shall be realized, and shall implode into all that we've ever been, into every single ounce and morsel of your soul's being and belonging, into every single cellular structure of every single light that has ever lived within your heart chakra, of even the most minute Tinkerbell of lights that you could ever envision to be true. And I say Tinkerbell as she is a character of fate, as she is a character of reality fields, as she is a character that we all recognize to be true and to be real, as a childhood favorite, as she is a character that we can all relate to. And as she magically glows in the dark with her little wand, that is what the sun will do to us as a humanity. It will allow us to spread our wings, to glow a little bit brighter, to see a little bit more clearer, to become the magicians that we were born not to be, that we were born blinded by the darkness within and without, to forget that we've ever been this magician that I speak of, that we can all relate to as I speak of the energetic frequency of Tinkerbell. And as you can envision and imagine to be true, our alter ego, if I can pinpoint a specific light, a specific frequency, a specific auric field, aura, it would be my little Tinkerbell that I speak of from the Disney movies, from our childhood memories. And as she flutters in and out, so will your heart chakra grow wings to take you into places that you've never been in memory, that you've forever been in energetic frequency. And as the excitement grows in my field, as I begin to remember what I came here to say, I want to share a story with you, so cohesively true and so inadvertently real. A story that can never be forgotten within the larger scope of our quantum verse, a story that's been around since eons and eons of evolutions, past, present, and future, a story that can never slip us. For the identity crisis that we've been sitting in for all of this time within our and without our quantum verse that we do not remember of in an inkling, in an ounce, in a single scope of any scope within our quantum verse. The story has never been told by a single soul. Yet I sit here and tell you the beginning, the ending, the midpoint perspective of a unity consciousness of a story that I remember to be true, that you will soon discover to be real through and through within your auric field as you become activated by the light of our great central sun as she begins the descent of her consciousness into our quantum realm, into our quantum verse, into every single morsel and being within and without Gaia's field as she makes her projected path shining the greatest and grandest light that you shall ever envision, that you've ever been able to witness or see her shine onto our field. You will be worried. Humanity will question reality field as it's never questioned a singularity of a reality field before, as reality fields, ladies and gentlemen, have never been spoken of within the scope of our educational system. As reality fields, ladies and gentlemen, has never been touched upon within the scope of our parental charm, within the scope of our household dinner conversations, as reality fields have never been a topic that we've been so eager to discuss around a dinner table, around a social setting, around any type of setting within your brain scope, even at night. As you travel this quantum verse within this reality field, you don't think twice. You don't know twice. You can be twice this reality field that has been projected upon you for far too long, yet as you sit in the twice of this reality field that I speak of, the twiceness of this field that I speak of shall never dawn on you until the day that it dawns on you, until the day, late November 2025, that the sun will blast its consciousness onto the entirety of your being. And as you begin to awaken to these frequencies in the middle of the night, as the clock strikes midnight, as the clock strikes 12, as the clock passes 12, you will remember the story that I am about to tell you. If you've come across my video, if you've had the pleasure of sitting through my video till the very end, you will be remembering the story as the memories within your auric field will trigger in a reality field where the story will come front and center into the precedence of your being, where the confirmation of you and I and where we come from and where we've been all of this time shall be touched upon, shall be remembered, shall be encompassed by the being that you are, by the multidimensional, forever arching, forever lasting, never dying, never ending energetic field that you sit in, that you've been sitting in, that you've never left for an eternity and more. Though in your physicality, as your body comes and goes and shifts into physical form, the spirit of you has always been the blueprint of who and what you are as a soul, as a being, as a multidimensional energy field of us. And once upon a time, as I sit here to tell my story, as I lag on to project this light to a perfect frequency to uplift this story into the ethers of your auric field, just remember, ladies and gentlemen, that you are you. I am me. We are us, but we are one. We come from the same energy field that God's source consciousness created once upon a time. We come from the same energy field that God source consciousness encompasses for all times. Through eons and eons of evolutionary feats, there has always been one energy field that I speak of, one energy field that you shall come to remember. And in the beginning of time, in the beginning of a time of no time, ladies and gentlemen, this field that has everlastingly existed within our fields, within all fields, within all that there is, within every single morsel of every single being that you can ever envision to be true and imagine to be real, within this quantum verse of everlasting scapes and scopes of pulsating energetic frequencies and fields that we could ever land ourselves within and without. Ladies and gentlemen, we've landed ourselves within the core, without the surface, within the frequency, without the dimensional fields of Gaia, of Earth, within our solar system. And once upon a time, during the creation of our solar system, it was said that source frequency would create an overarching scope, an underarching scape within its consciousness to broadcast parts and pieces of its consciousness to explore this frequency within a perfect trajectory of our quantum verse that overlays the overall energetic ley lines of the frequency fields that runs north and south, east and west, within every single directional field of endlessness. The ups and downs, the side to sides, the overarching scopes and rivers and mountains of energy fields that you can ever envision to be true and imagine to be real lies right here within Gaia's core, upon her surface, upon her scope of belonging, within the perfect trajectory, within the perfect distance, within the perfect all you can ever envision to be true. God source consciousness created our reality field exactly where it should be, exactly how it did land within this field of consciousness, exactly how we should project our energy field within this field, within our quantum verse that reaches perpendicular to these lines of energetic frequency that bounces up and down in these wind tunnels of frequencies, projecting throughout the quantum verse of space, throughout black holes, within black holes, without overarching black holes of entrance points of energetic frequency where we come from. When source consciousness broadcasted its being, parts and pieces of its consciousness blew through the ultimate black hole, the black hole that created our universe, our foreseeable universe, our foreknowable universe, our transcendence of a universe that you and I belong to. A little dot in a scape, in a landscape, in a landscope, in a forever arching consciousness. A little scope of escape within this quantum verse that you can ever envision to be true or imagine to be real. Yet the locational frequency of Gaia and where she sits matters. It matters the most within this ascension journey and within the story of us and why we are going through what we're going to go through, what we are about to go through as we shift into the 5-dimensional frequency, as Gaia is the first planet of her being, of our being, of the being of all, to be able to shift and catapult her 3-dimensional being into a higher frequency of knowing, into a higher frequency of being, and into a higher frequency of belonging within the full, all-encompassing belonging that you can ever envision to be true within the scope of all of the frequencies that you can ever envision to be real. Gaia is a special little planet in which we sit on, in which we have the pleasure of residing on, in which we sit in the allowance of being able to transcend our being and our physicality within this lifetime, to be able to join her in frequency as we ascend into the 5-dimensional frequency of coherence. And I say this to you as no easy feat can ever be understood within a story, within a moment, within a minute, within an hour, within this video itself, but I will try to tell my story of all stories with the encompassment of the important aspects that you shall forevermore begin to understand as you awaken into your soul's belonging, catapulting you out of her frequency field into the frequency field of the angelic realm of the all that we've ever been. And as we sit here in her field, remembering, seeing, believing, feeling, transcendence will hit us like a massive storm, like a forever arching wall that is about to push us so deeply into the darkness that carries her, into the darkness that carries us throughout these experiences of lifetimes upon lifetimes of projected feats within this game that we sit in. It will push us into a point of coherence so bright, of coherence so loud, of coherence never before felt by an energy field within this field. All of consciousness will awaken to this coherence and to the brightest light that will ever shine upon our consciousness as the sun broadcasts its livelihood, its lovelihood, its spiritualhood, its being, its all-encompassing light within a four-dimensional frequency to push us into a coherence of alignment with the spatial scope of where Gaia sits within our quantum verse. This alignment will project our being, our soul's knowing, our soul's belonging, our spiritual essence back into the angelic realm of remembrance of the reason why we're here, of the reason why this ascension must happen. And of all of the light workers out there who happen to come across this video, just know that you're sitting in the right place within the right time, within the right scope of things that I speak of, that you sit in, as all of these experiences come into a coherence so bright and so green and so greedy in thought, perspectives, and within all of that you've ever sat in within the frequency of this lifetime. Your third eye will blast you wide open. The rays of the sun will blast its light into your heart chakra, and it will push all of you into coherence right through your crown chakra into the sky above to connect you to the angelic realm. And what will be catapulted into a forever arching light and love will be your alignment, Gaia's alignment, the alignment of all within the frequency of the quantum verse where we sit in within the central scope, within the center point of where Gaia lies, within this energetic scape that I speak of runs ley lines throughout our quantum verse, and Gaia sits smack right in the middle of these ley lines that run perpendicular into all that there ever was and ever shall be, into the angelic realm and back, throughout every single vein in our quantum verse, throughout every single energetic field in all that there has ever been, and within our quantum verse, within our energy scope. This energy will push all of our remembrance to the forefront of our energetic field, whereby merging our being with the being of source consciousness, the very source consciousness that descended down into this realm to create our reality field and pushed out parts and pieces of its consciousness to become you and I. The very source consciousness that belongs in coherency with your heart chakra, within your third eye chakra, without your third eye chakra, within all of the forever arching scopes of the 13 chakras that bring you to alignment, the alignment you are about to feel as you step into the brightest light that this quantum verse has ever seen within Gaia's sphere, projected through by a sun so effervescently bright that has decided to shine all of its consciousness into our frequency field, will bring you into an awakening, into a depth so deep through the darkness of forever arching fears, forever arching separation, forever arching reasoning of why we should stay within the separated state. And as you search for that light within and without your consciousness, that light will be found. That light will be seen. That light is ready to take you home once more into coherence within the physicality of the body that you sit. That light, ladies and gentlemen, shines so bright within you. You may not be able to see it. You may not be able to perceive it. You may not even remember that you hold this light so true. But I'm here to remind you and help you decipher what it is when it hits you so squarely on the chest, in the face, when it hits humanity so forcefully in a way that will allow us to project the light within our being into coherence, into oneness, for once and for final, into the trajectory of the projected path of the energetic frequency of the centralized location within our frequency field of the quantum verse. And as this light catapults outwards into spiraling forms, light workers will begin to become activated. A key inside you will shift into coherence as it unlocks the divinity within you, within and without your field that you've been holding, that you've been shifting through, that you've been withholding, that you've been carrying through lifetimes and lifetimes of coherency found. And as you volunteered so bravely to drop into our descended field to help Gaia through all that she's about to go through within her fields, you will come into coherence and into alignment with this field of hers as the sun begins to implode its energetic frequency into our atmosphere, ladies and gentlemen. And as the Galactic Federation is so excited, watching, listening, feeling, guarding you and your soul scope and your soulscape in all that it's ever been, waiting to become activated in coherency along with the activation points of each and every one of you light workers. The presence of the Galactic Federation shall be known at the end of November, before the end of the wrap up of 2025, as they are planning to release the descendants, the coherence, the effervescent knowing, the effervescent projection of their light into our frequency at the same time that Gaia receives the warmth of the great central sun as we go through the greatest solar flash that humanity has ever been able to sit through and experience. The Galactic Federation is excited to announce that they are here now within our field, projecting their light in an invisible way, in a way that allows us to comfortably shift through our frequency without the annoyance of the knowing of another species out within the frequency that has protected us from all that there has ever been outside of our great central sun, outside of our solar system, ladies and gentlemen. But as you come into alignment with the light that projects itself, that Yeshua has anchored down into our frequency field a little over 2,000 years ago, you will begin to come into the remembrance of who and what you are, of the energetic frequency that runs perpendicular to your soul, of all of the ley lines within Gaia that will speak to you, of all of consciousness within all of this quantum verse that will reach out to you, of all of the being within your spiritual field that will expand and shift into the very borders of this quantum verse. You, ladies and gentlemen, are about to awaken to the greatest truth that our reality field has ever been able to set forth, catapulting our humanity field into the light of what is, into the placement of the home scope that we come from, within the darkness of our reality field that we reside in. We will be able to, for once and for final, and for an overarching amount of 1,000 years of peace, tender care, light, and tenderness within and without our quantum verse, perceive this reality field to be the truth of what is. To illuminate the truth is all that I could ever ask for within any lifetime, within any life scope of being able to reach out into the angelic realm and remember and to be able to encompass all that we've ever been as we projected ourselves onto this mission, onto this storyline of you, the storyline of I, the story of humanity, the story of all, the story of source consciousness. And finally, the story shall be told, the story shall be seen, the story shall be heard, the story shall be remembered as we activate our memories into the quantum realm, as we activate our projected energetic field into all that there is, as we merge all of our energetic fields back into the coherency of one. Ladies and gentlemen, the grand central sun will catapult our consciousness back into the remembrance of who and what you've always been in projection field and just not in perception field. And as the time begins to tick down into the ultimate reality field that is incoming into your field of denial, into your field of ignorance, into your field of separation, into your field of not believing, not realizing the multidimensional divinity that you've forever been as a soul on a soul's level, traversing through this quantum verse throughout lifetimes and lifetimes of reincarnation cycles that never ever ends. Finally, we've come to an end of a point, of a perspective where we will awaken to our truth, to our destiny, that one day we would have to go back to one, that we will have to shrink back to not, that we will have to rejoin our consciousness back into the all that projected us out into this quantum verse. For once and for final, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to go home in projection field, in energetic field. And I'm excited. And as are you, as you begin to awaken to your energetic field, my light workers, you will begin to miss home. You will begin to feel an aching in your chest so deep as you walk this field of darkness that we've chosen to walk down, as you walk this path of loneliness that we've chosen to separate ourselves into, as we project our energetic field into this path within the three-dimensional frequency, we will come to an overarching light so bright that will catapult our being and all that we've ever been into the five-dimensional frequency of coherence found. And as we find this coherence, as we shift into this coherence as an overarching light of consciousness of all, of within the scope of all that you've ever been and within the scope of all that I've ever been, we will merge back into all, into source frequency, into the all that we've never ever left, and into the separated state that we forever archingly so bravely dropped down into, and ask for the separated state that we forever overarchingly drop down into within the two-dimensional and three-dimensional frequencies of our soul's being and belonging, of our soul's choosing. It's finally time to catapult our consciousness past that perspective, past that point, and into the point of all, into the point of the light that has never died, in a singularity, in a not, in a nort, in a perspective point. This light has always been you. This light has always been I. This light has always been a projection field that is set to anchor into a reality field of depth so deep that it will bring in cohesive memories of who you are as a light worker, of who you are as a multidimensional spirited being, of who we are as the entirety of a whole of a consciousness residing here on Mother Gaia, walking her surface. Within her core sits an energy so light, sits an energy encompassed by source frequency of all that she's ever been, surrounded by all of this darkness, of all of these schemes within the darkness that we've ever decided to walk through. The story of us, the story of you, the story of coherency within Gaia's being shall be a story to be told in another session. But to begin the story of all that there has ever been deserves to be touched upon within the story of us, within the story of all. And as I begin the beginning of our story within this very first video, within this very last video, within this very all of a video that I've ever been able to project into a reality field, every video that I produce will touch base on a story of humanity, on a story of us, on a story of all that you are, that I am, that we've never been without, within this reality field of Gaia, of Mother Earth, of the earth that transcended time and space, within the time that we know, within the time that everlastingly dies, within the time that never endingly ticks. As time is no time within this reality field, and time is not a thing within the quantum realm. Yet as we sit upon her surface, we're sitting in time. And as the time ticks down to the great central sun imploding its consciousness, her being, onto all that we've ever been as a consciousness itself, we're excited. I'm excited, as I know you light workers who have volunteered to drop down into our dimensional field will feel it like no other, will see it like no other, will remember it like no other, will be it as you step into the frequency of the alignment that you came here to step into. And as you step into the frequency of your forever arching soul that has carried you through lifetimes and lifetimes of reincarnation cycles within the light, within the darkness of what is, of all that you've ever been, just know that we're here together. Just know that we were meant to find each other. Just know that as we do, all of our chakras will awaken to the greatest and grandest awakening and remembrance, and it will catapult us back into the angelic realm of all that we've ever been, into the all of source consciousness that it has ever been, that we've ever been, into the remembrance of what it was like to be outside of these bodies, to be outside of Gaia, to be outside of our quantum verse, to be outside of our reality scope that we've created for ourselves once upon a time of no time. And as I end this video of coherence, I invite you to come back and listen in to subsequent videos of further coherence as we join forces into one within a reality field of oneness that we shall never be without. So ladies and gentlemen, as I pop off on this video, I would just like to leave one last message of coherence as I'm about to lose my voice, but I can never be so excited to know that the time is coming and the overarching scope of the energy field that we sit in within Gaia, as we can never forget Gaia as the main character of our story within all stories of coherence. And as we lay down our bodies at night on our beds, let's remember to support her, for she has carried us through this lifetime, through all lifetimes, and she has carried life within and without her frequency through the ley lines that runs through her dimensional field. And we would not be here today if it were not for her. So all to the everlasting love that sits within and without our frequency, within and without our soul, as we project this light and this love into Gaia's coherence, as we remember her for who and what she has always been, which has always been the brave soul that decided once upon a time to anchor down into this frequency of darkness, to project a light so bright at the end of the day, as she projects herself into the 5-dimensional frequency of coherence. And so, ladies and gentlemen, Gaia as a frequency has always been you, has always been I, has always been the longing within our heart chakras for the home that we belong in, for the home that we cannot remember in this moment in time, for the home that we will be able to project our frequency back into as we come into the remembrance of all that Gaia has ever been for us, for humanity, for all within this quantum realm of ours. We love you, Gaia. You are so needed. You've been so brave, and we're here to support you through all that you will ever go through.